Hi everyone, we're gonna talk about Philippine culture. What comes into your mind when you hear the words Philippine culture? Well, for me, it is beyond beliefs, arts, and social behavior. I am from the Philippines and our traditional culture is mostly derived from Spanish and the ancestor of the Filipinos due to colonialism. However, Filipinos are well mannered, always positive, and religious. Moving on, we're gonna talk a bit about the Philippines background. The country Philippines is located in the Southeast Asia, neighborhoods of China, Japan, Vietnam, and many more. It contains about 7,641 unique islands. In these islands, they consist of different languages and dialects, but in order to understand each other, we use Filipino or Tagalog, our national language of the Philippines. Next, we're gonna discuss about cultural appropriation. What does it mean to you when someone says cultural appropriation? Well, for me, when a tradition from a specific culture is being manifested by someone without knowing the real meaning of it and they spread it to the society, that leads to disrespect and misinformation. Also, using a culture from a certain country without clarifying or knowing the truth behind it. For example, a traditional cloth is being worn to an occasion and not following how it should supposed to be worn. This could lead to disrespect, and the people who protect this tradition will be offended. Let's talk more about specific cases that had happened in the present time. During the Man of the World competition in June 2022 held in Okada, Manila, there was a part of the competition wherein many netizens were worried and horrified by the way it is being held. During the pageant, contestants used the wano as attire for the bag swimwear contest. They used the said clothing and were fashioned. However, many netizens reacted negatively and were offended by the outcome, especially the Cordilleras. One of them is Teddy Bagilat, a previous governor of the Cordillera Administrative Region. To understand more about how the Cordilleras use their traditional clothing, I'll give some additional backgrounds. Well, Wano or G-string is the male version and Ampuyo is the female version of the traditional clothing. For the people of mostly part of the North Luzon, particularly in Cordillera, Philippines. They belong to the tribe which is called Igorot, that means people from the mountains. The patterns on the clothing vary from province to province. These are the clothing that the ancestors used in pre-colonial times. They use this clothing commonly on occasions such as weddings. During weddings and special occasions, this clothing is commonly used especially when it comes to dancing of the traditional ethnic music such as the tayaw. To play the song, someone will beat the gong using their hand while the gong is placed in their lap, and the three remaining will beat the gong using the stick the same as the one used in playing the drums. As of the present, you can still see some netizens of the region of Cordillera using this type of clothing, or even on normal days, most especially in the places that are not impacted with the city life. They also use this traditional clothing on occasions such as fiesta, rituals, and even burials. The rituals that they do is called mumbaki. Also, it is stated which status a person is. This kind of clothing is woven in traditional strap with commonly white, red, and black. Now let's go back to our topic. Look at the photos. You can clearly see the difference between these photos without even paying attention too much to the design. The picture on the left corner is the correct way of wearing the traditional clothing. On the right side is how the contestant on the stage show uses the traditional clothing. However, the controversy gets to a moment when it goes to a press conference. According to the National Commission of Indigenous People, they released a statement which explained the controversy about the Man of the World swimwear competition. Also, they mentioned that the organizers are from the same tribes. According to the statement of Stanley Roger Bawalan, He confirms that all the attire are correctly worn and were used for swimming. However, according to Jerick Bambi Sadrinas, he didn't go with the organizers. He said clearly that the NCPR did not allow nor tolerate the bahag to be worn just like in the show. Also, he said that he will ask the organizer to have a valid proof whether the bahag or G-string is really worn like that and to provide more information about the evolution of the traditional clothing. You can see the statement shown in the picture and they clearly signed it. As for me, this controversy is quite upsetting, as it is not only offend those netizens who grew up in this traditional clothing, but also mock their status. Also, when it comes to this kind of traditional clothing, it is important to have the consensus of the audience and most especially the tribes who uses these. Also, it is inappropriate and offendable because as one of the people from Cordillera region, I am offended by how they use our traditional clothing. Even though they refashioned the bahag, the patterns and the textile were still visible which represents our traditional clothing. Also, we put high value and respect to our traditional clothing as part of our history, and I hope that everyone should also do the same thing. This is the references I use for my presentation. Thank you.